in Cleveland, and this will be my presentation on pollinators. So, to introduce us to pollinators, pollinators are animals that transfer pollen from one plant to another. For example, we have insects, small mammals, birds, and etc. They play a major role in the biodiversity and plant production on this planet. All right, here are some examples. Here's some more examples in depth about some pollinators. We have bees, the most common. They pollinate plants like lavender, sunflowers, and strawberries. Um, we have squirrels, and squirrels that pollinate plants are usually found in tropical regions. We have moths, and they're nocturnal, so nocturnal flowers with heavy fragrances are pollinated by them. And believe it or not, humans also pollinate naturally, but more often than not, we're manually pollinating flowers using cotton swabs and things of that nature. So, pollinators have a very big impact on agriculture and biodiversity. Uh, Plant pollination is another ecosystem service for agriculture. Without this, humans would face food shortages due to the fact that pollinators pollinate 150 crops in America that require pollination to grow. Without pollinators, these crops would be difficult, if not impossible, to grow in such quantities. Crop diversity also gives a sort of disease resistance to these plants. Um, plants are very well. Plants and pollinators are very crucial to the economy and human health. Bees. It is estimated that bees alone yields the United States $1.6 billion in annual benefit. Um, Antibiotics and most modern drugs are derived from plants and animals. It is estimated that 25% of all modern drugs contain at least one plant extract. And as we know, out of antibiotics are derived from fungi. And pollinators are animals, and they face the same problems as other animals. Things like habitat loss, climate change, and invasive species. Habitat loss is due to human interaction, like logging and just destruction of the habitat due for agricultural development. Climate change can bring more snowfall, more rain, more droughts, more natural disasters, just depending on how it affects that specific habitat. And some invasive species that are introduced by humans can thrive and dominate the native species that actually lives there, dwindling their populations. There are a lot of conservation efforts, but I've chose to focus on the Bee Conservancy. They have 10 goals as a company, and they're listed here, but we're just going to focus on their key concepts. In there, the three of them are creating habitats, education, and community involvement. They To create habitats, they're turning urban and unused lands into pollinator sanctuaries, so they have a place to thrive and live without being harmed by uh, the interference that humans place on ecosystems. They educate people, grown adults, by holding training sessions and community workshops so they can better engage. And speaking of engagement, they have community involvement. They partner with schools and local farmers to create suitable habitats for these pollinators, um, and teach people the basic needs and why they're so important. And I'll be talking about the elephant shrew today. The elephant shrew is a small mammal, a rodent that lives in Africa. It lives in dry savannas, forests, and scrublands. What do they pollinate? They are omnivores. They are omnivores. They're mainly carnivores, but they are omnivores. And if you go look at a shrew, you will see that they have very short, long snout. I mean, very skinny, long snouts and very long tongues. And use those long tongues to stick up and suck the nectar out of the base of these plants seen here. And unfortunately, some of these species are threatened, especially ones with limited habitats due to habitat loss. For example, we have the golden rump shrew, which is threatened due to habitat loss. And as I said, that is habitat destruction is the main driving factor. We also have climate change, which shrinks those habitats, and predation. Natural predators are contributing to this. Things like dogs, cats, birds, snakes, things like that. Now, if these pollinators were to go extinct, the plants that rely and require them to be able to pollinate would reduce in population, may even go extinct. The insects that these shrews feed upon will also increase in population, and in turn will decrease the population of the natural plants that they feed on because of the population imbalance. And for some things we can do, we can create conservation groups focused on saving those habitats of endangered species. We can better control the hunting of feral cats and dogs, and we can restore habitats to combat human interference in development. And that is all. Thank you for listening to my presentation.